Love between humans is just not easy, and without great examples or education about emotions, communication, sex, and what keeps love alive, it's too easy to be disheartened, settle, or give up on what you want most. I believe you can have the love and intimacy you want. And having coached thousands of people on their love lives for over 20 years, I know what love can be for you. So I'm bringing you people who share vulnerably about their dating and relationship struggles and how they learn to create the most connected, fulfilling, and exciting love and sex of their lives, so you can have it too. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Practicing Love. Have the best love and sex of your life after 40. I'm excited to be here today with an amazing couple, both of whom are in the psychological field. Jory Rose is an LMFT, licensed marriage and family therapist, and John Schinnerer is a psychologist, and they are in a relationship and have been. I'm going to let them tell you more about that. They've been for a while. And, you know, the purpose of this podcast is really so that you can hear from people who, like you, struggle in relationship. And particularly, I started out by recording experts because I wanted you to know that we struggle too, and that we work with those struggles, and we, consciously navigate and practice those struggles. And so you don't have to feel bad about whatever you're struggling with. And I also want you to be able to get a sense of the different kinds of struggles. Maybe you'll learn something about yourself or your partner, or if you're dating, as you're dating and experiencing different people. So thank you to both so much for being here today and letting us in on your love life.
We're really happy to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. So can you give us a sense of your current relationship? Anything that stands out? Anything you want us to know to understand, the context of what you're living inside of?
You want me to start on
Sure.
that one? Okay. So we've been dating for 9 years, both married prior.
Okay.
And
engaged for 5 of those years.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet married, kind of married.
Sort of married, but that's a whole nother story.
I love that.
Happy to go into that, but not that fruitful.
Okay.
And the relationship was fantastic for many years. And then we started to get bogged down in sensitivities. There were some patterns that were very deep and we're getting stuck in and couldn't seem to find our way out of. Yeah. And it led to a brief but really painful breakup about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I think that breakup really woke us up in terms of, wow, I really love this person. I got to get my shit together.
Yeah. And
figure out how to change some of these patterns. For me, I'd never been able to change in my 50 years of living.
Wow.
And it was great motivation. And it was also great reaffirmation of the love that I have for Jory.
Yeah. Right. And it's so there's a distinction, right, between the love we have for someone and then the habits and patterns that we get into where we can't necessarily feel that love because we're stuck in some of these old wounding or old habits. And so again, I appreciate you for being real about that, and that even, doing the work you do, that it's hard to witness our own patterns.
May I speak to that, Shayna?
Please.
We being in relationship for as long as we have, and both being in the mental health field, we were really excited years ago to start doing couples work together. Yeah. And it was so exciting on so many levels, and really quite embarrassing to have joint clients. I saw the woman, he saw the man during our breakup. I was like, shit, if we can't figure it out, like what message does that give our clients who are seeing us as these experts and yet we're still human?
Yep.
And it actually has most informed and deepened our work we do with couples by really experiencing, wow, we love each other. And that wasn't enough to break these negative repetitive patterns we kept getting stuck in. And one of the things that was born out of it, aside from we now have a very securely attached relationship, which previously was stuck in some anxious avoidant dances, as what those patterns kind of ended up looking like, but a reaffirmation also in the work we want to do in serving others. And our new joint branding of couples work of love isn't enough. Because I think ultimately it's not enough.
No,
our breakup was not a function of how much we loved each other, which is why it made it so painful.
Yep.
But that's also the story that we're sold from a very young age, right? That you fall in love,
love each other,
and then you live happily ever after, a la Disney.
No,
thanks Disney.
Yeah, and Disney. Part of what we really understood was getting in the way was not the knowledge of the tools. We know that, right? Yes. We know and we understand and we teach that, which was part of my biggest frustration, and was a wound I would, kind of repick at John of like, you teach this, why can't we do it? And I know that was hurtful, but it was also my frustration of. Right. And I was getting stuck in the same way. It's easy for me to externalize that.
Yeah, for anyone that's listening out there, don't ever do that.
Yeah. So once again, I'm sorry.
Okay. Tell someone, you do this, and why don't you do this?
But it was such a deep frustration of why can't we engage in the patterns that we so believe in that we teach?
Yep.
And we know from research and blah, 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 they work, right? And what was preventing us from accessing those?
Yes.
And so part of the work that we do now with couples is really understanding what we found to be quite a big flaw in a lot of couples work, not all, but in fundamental couples work is, looking at, okay, how can we communicate better? How can we repair? How can we have more effective arguments and fight fair? Or how do we respond to bids for attention, all the things that are couple skills.
Yeah.
But what we're also simultaneously curious about is what is the individual stuff, our own work that preceded this relationship from childhood or previous relationships or traumas that are preventing you from accessing the tools.
Yes.
And I think what we found is roughly 70% of the stuff we were getting hung up on far preceded this relationship.
Right.
It was about, past romantic relationship or our childhood.
So we had to look at really not just our patterns, but what's my own stuff that I have to heal and I have to work on.
Right. And that I'm then projecting on you.
Exactly. Right. Because that's what was happening.
You don't know me.
If only, right? It's that if only you stop doing this, I'll be better. That's not the case, right? And there's no accountability in that being the view.
Yes. Okay.
And
this is amazing. I'm excited to hear more about, your findings. And maybe first, can we go into a little bit of either the sensitivities or that dance, right? Like paint a picture for couples, what was happening in that time.
Let's talk about all the places where you were wrong.
I didn't see it going there.
I think this sounds great. That's a great direction. Thanks, Shayna.
That's awesome. Yeah. Good. That'll be helpful.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Maybe we could start with each of you actually reflecting, right? On,
I think part of it, one of our greatest strengths as a couple became one of our biggest challenges, which is we're both highly sensitive and we both feel very, very deeply.
Yeah.
And at its most basic level, our sensitivities at times were in competition with each other.
Right. And what drew you together, because you're like, oh, you're as sensitive as I am. You can feel.
Oh my God, you feel so deeply. I love that about you.
Yes.
And that's the way it works with everything. We find that the very things that attract us to a partner later on kind of grind our gears.
Yes.
Right? Like, I love that my partner's so outgoing and social and she can talk to anyone at the party. But then later on, it's like, oh my God, can't we just stay home one night?
Right.
Or I feel like you ditch me at every party because you're talking to everybody else, right? But so for us, our deep sensitivities is what allowed our love to go so deep.
Yes. Yes.
And we didn't always know how to. Go ahead.
You didn't always know how to what?
We didn't always know how to mitigate so we can give room for the other persons. Yeah. So do you want to give some examples of that?
I'll start. I'll start with one of my examples. So one of the areas that I realized was my work was when we would get into a disagreement, I could go 15 minutes or so in disagreement, give or take 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then I would start to get emotionally flooded. Yeah. And I would start to get angry. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and this was my interpretation internally was, oh shit, I'm getting angry. I need to shut down because I don't want to say anything in anger that's going to hurt her feelings.
Yes.
So from the inside, it seems like a very noble approach.
Right.
The problem with that is that it's also stonewalling,
right?
Which we know is one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and not a great habit.
Yes, as determined.
And not a great strategy for connection.
Not a great strategy for connection.
And, I'm just unilaterally withdrawing from the discussion.
Yeah.
And then, she would get triggered. She would get anxious and she would pursue. And I'm trying to calm down. I need 20 minutes time out to calm down. And we were stuck in that anxious avoidant trap. But the thing that was kind of fascinating to me, and that was my work about that, was I realized, and this was kind of in hindsight, as a lot of this is, that where I was going to for moments in that period was shame.
Yes. Right.
And if you would ask me,
right, underneath that sense of, if I'm angry and I don't want to say something that's going to hurt her, but am I okay with the fact that I'm angry?
Yeah.
No, it sounds like not. There was shame there.
Well, and I mean, if you had asked me 5 years ago, do you have any shame? I would have been like, no, I don't feel any shame.
Interesting.
But with a little more digging, I was like, oh no, there it is. And the way I identified it was I heard thoughts, and they were very brief. They maybe lasted seconds, that sounded something like, oh, I'm just no good at this relationship thing. Or she'd be better off without me. And what is shame?
But then he said those thoughts out loud at times too, before our breakup.
And what is shame but the belief that I'm unworthy of love, connection, and belonging.
Yeah.
And so once I realized, oh shit, I'm going to shame, that's a pattern that's followed me my whole life in relationship.
Yeah.
And that's on me. That's my work.
Right.
And so what I did was I actually got into internal family systems and started talking to that really young 5-year-old part of me that was feeling the shame in those moments. And said about healing that.
Too, that you're pointing to is how it can be so brief, right? You can think, I don't have any shame, and you're a psychologist, and so you look at this all the time, and then just to suddenly start to notice, there's these little voices in there, and I can hear them. And some people don't even hear them; you just feel the bodily sensations.
Yeah,
right? Different for everybody, but
it's fleeting. They're whispers. They're fast. They're pernicious. They're sneaky.
Yeah. Well, and part of that dynamic. For me, one of my core wounds is abandonment.
Right.
And that's very real based on my family of origin and traumas in my family. And part of my other core wound is this fear of being too much, that if I express too much of my emotion or come across as too needy, that's going to push somebody away.
Yeah.
So the dynamic would often flow of me bringing up something I was hurt by, which was vulnerable for me to do.
Yeah.
And it would highlight one of John's sensitivities.
Which was, I'm not enough.
I'm not enough.
I'm not doing it right. I'm not doing enough. I'm not meeting her in this way.
And that old narrative from his past of, I can't ever do it right. Why bother? Yeah. I'm not good in this relationship thing. Which then, as he said, caused him to kind of shut down and withdraw.
Yeah.
Which to me looked just like abandonment.
Yes.
Which to me was abandonment. And then he broke up with me and it was like real abandonment. And then it was, okay, so what's my part of this dynamic, right? Yeah. What do I need to do? Right. And part of that was for me to do the work around my abandonment.
Yeah. And
to learn to self-soothe and to regulate my own sensitivities and needs, because he wasn't always going to be available for me.
Right. And it's so powerful to see, even though I'm the one who got left, in quotes, I mean, in a way it's real, and in a way it's, a story, right? That, I actually still have a part in this, which is, how do I find my own ground, my own center, so that I'm not, leaning in, trying to have someone else be that center for me, so we can actually be equal in this relationship.
Well, and the other piece of that was looking at what things that preceded that dynamic within our relationship that didn't make him feel that his needs were being met, that I wasn't able to easily see.
Yes.
And so part of my own individual path of growth and healing some of my enmeshment patterns from the past tilted the wrong direction of some hyper independence that to him felt like not feeling connected. But for me, I'm like, look at me, I'm such a big girl now, right? Kind of my inner child is growing up. Look, aren't you proud of what I can do on my own? And he's like, well, that doesn't feel very relational.
I want you to need me, right? It's not relational.
Right? I want to feel like I am the most important person you say that I am, but some of your actions, and I wasn't doing anything, quote, wrong. No. It was just, again, our needs of some of our past led us to were competing.
Yeah. And I think you're speaking the dynamic of so many couples, right? I'm hearing so many things I've heard that people don't always know how to put words to.
So one of the key value differences there was independence versus relationality, which I think is a great way to summarize it and to get people to think, am I being too individualistic here? Or am I leaning, to what extent am I leaning into the relationship?
Yep.
And where's the balance there? Because both are necessary.
Yeah. And neither one is right bad. Necessarily, right? There are people who...
But it's a balancing act and it's delicate.
Yeah. Well, and it met my individual personal growth, but it was hurting our partnership. Yes. And so again, what is my role in taking care of my own needs while also meeting my partner's?
Yes. Right. That there is a we. It's not just about meeting your own needs or meeting the relationship needs. How do you actually balance both?
And I think, we also have blended our families. And I think that enters into this as well, because if you're in a first marriage, to me, the couple, the relationship, the dyad is number one, period. And then the kids are number two, and then everything else comes after that. Yeah. But if it's a post-divorce, that shifts a little bit. And we had agreed to put the kids first. Yeah. And we did that for 9 years. And so we're just now living together for 4 months after putting the kids first for 9 years, because we didn't want to force them together.
And luckily that was a shared value. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If only one of us held that value, that would have probably broken us, because I don't think either one of us would have been willing to not put the kids first, especially given the dynamic of our kids as other parent. We were the primary parent. So to not be available to them would have not been the right thing for their needs and their mental health and their sense of safety and security. So luckily we shared that core value, and it was still really hard for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because as we often say, time and attention is the currency of relationships. And we weren't able to give each other as much time and attention. And yet those patterns were still showing up even when we did give each other the time and attention.
Right. Right. And I like that, the time and attention being the currency of relationship. And if you didn't have that shared value, it's not that either one of you would have been wrong. It's just different. So I love helping people see nobody has to be wrong, right? It just certain things don't match up or don't line up enough. And then once you get, okay, we've got enough shared values, there's still what you're talking about, which is now we have these core wounds that we're working with. Right. And
I want to speak to another
who fit into the key, right? It's like the key in the lock. Yeah.
I'd love to speak to another big, huge piece of this that was really revolutionary for me, being that one of my core wounds was afraid of being too much and my emotions pushed people away. It also at times prevented me from truly authentically expressing myself. Yes. And one of the things that John encouraged and gave me plenty of opportunity to practice was getting in touch with my anger. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And which was interesting because kind of pre-breakup, John was quick to be defensive in his listening or justifying his actions, right, without really hearing me. So there were some patterns of defensive listening. So simultaneous to him encouraging me to get in touch with my anger, he was practicing non-defensive listening to give me room to express it, and he could receive it well.
Wow.
And that was a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me,
how did that change things for you?
I could trust my emotions won't push somebody away. Uh-huh.
Right. You got that.
Because he again had to simultaneously learn how to not stonewall. Mm-hmm. So he was doing his work simultaneously, but it gave me a lot of trust in the relationship of I can feel safe and be honest or authentic.
I think it also allowed you to feel heard emotionally, I think for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's something there's power in that when we can speak how we feel and the other person really hears you and listens to you and understands how you're feeling without defending, it allows you to get rid of that emotion to a large extent.
I don't need to hold on to it because I come from a family of origin that's very enmeshed in which individuation and personal belief systems get punished.
Yeah.
They're not allowed. If you're not part of the enmeshed belief system, then you're wrong.
Then you're not okay.
So
right?
Because my fear was abandonment, I would choose connection over honoring my emotion.
Right. And
because the risk of not honoring that. Right.
Right. So then, John, were you, or did the two of you set up a way where Jory could be angry in any way, shape, or form? Or did you have any agreements around like, okay, no blaming, no shaming, no attacking? Or how did you even step into that? Okay, now I'm going to listen without defending.
There's a lot there. I think that I knew non-defensive listening was important, but I'd never really practiced it. And so it came into my awareness a little bit before the breakup, I would say. And so I was starting to delve into it and to begin to practice it. Yeah. But it's a process, right?
Yeah.
And I knew when I encouraged Jory to get in touch with her anger that I was going to be the recipient of it at some point. I had no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And so I guess I was preparing for that at some level. But I remember there was one time when Jory got in touch with her anger, and we don't name call.
I'm not an angry person.
We don't criticize.
Yeah. So we didn't have to have agreements because that's just not either one of our natures.
You would have done. You would have been like, "You're an asshole. You're this. You're so that's not."
This one time, she got really angry at me, and she was yelling at me and swearing. And I don't know if there was name calling, but
I don't think I swore at you. I think I was just swearing. In the anger.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. And so I knew this was coming, and so I was somewhat prepared for it.
Yeah.
And so I just responded with, "Yeah, I can see that you're really upset. I can see that this really hurt you. I get it. I hear you. I understand. I can see that you're really sad about this."
Wow, you kept your heart open. Yeah.
And then at the end, I just said, "Thank you so much for sharing how you feel with me."
Wow.
Or sharing
that was the part I was waiting for him to say. Thank you for sharing your anger with me.
Yeah.
That was a container that made me feel safe and allowed to express it.
He was just tolerating it or just, trying to get over.
What it showed me was he actually honored it.
Yes.
And that made me feel I'm not too much. I'm just human.
Oh, yeah.
Just like he's not enough. He's just human.
Right? Well, and how you felt made sense to me too. Like it wasn't, because I think all too often we're trying to shut down people's emotions or dismiss them
but it doesn't always make sense. In that situation, it sounds like it did make sense, but I know a lot of situations where men are like, this doesn't make sense, but you can say it non-defensively.
Right. You don't have to agree with why they're feeling what they're feeling. You just have to validate the emotion.
Right.
But I think the thing you didn't name is the how, which is you would coach yourself in the moment to stay calm, to breathe, to regulate.
Yes.
So that took practice and a muscle for him to build.
Well, and that's a practice that had gone back 10, 15 years.
Right. But it didn't translate to the non-defensive listening.
Right. It didn't actually, Yes. Okay. So then you got to take this practice that you'd had, which for people who are new to this and who haven't done that kind of breathing or meditation or regulation, it can be harder, right? Because then suddenly they're flooded with all of this emotion and intensity. And it's like, what do I do with this? I've either got to lash it out or shut it down. But there is another option, which sounds like you have experience with, of grounding yourself, letting it through you, not getting...
Well, and we know we've got to practice those grounding skills outside of the moment of overwhelm. We're not going to be able to build that muscle when we're frustrated.
Right.
I used to teach mindfulness for years in schools, and I love this. I asked all the kids at this K through 8 school I was at, if you've been breathing since the moment you're born, why should we practice that? And this one brilliant third grader, she was 9, she says, I imagine we practice our breathing for the same reason we have a fire drill. Wow. She said, we have a fire drill so we know what to do in case of an emergency. And I imagine we practice our breathing so we know how to use it when we need it.
Oh my God, this is an 8-year-old?
She was, 8 or 9. She was third grade. And I literally was in tears. I'm like, oh my God, she nailed it. And so I think that's the reminder. You can't practice it at the height of that anger. You've got to build that muscle. You got to build the pathway to be able to access it when you're there. Because if you don't have a muscle built, it's going to be really hard to engage even in what you cognitively know you could or should do.
Yeah. And sometimes it's hard even when you have practiced to stay calm in the heat of the moment.
Oh yeah, right. Because suddenly it's the thing that's now triggering your core wound or a bigger wound than you even realized you had. And then we can, lose our center.
Can I name one other dynamic that I think was big too? And, this anxious avoidant dynamic, there's so many layers underneath. And it seemed that when we would get stuck, that John's needs took more precedent, that
my emotions were primary in my mind.
In that if he needed the space, that's what we had to do, regardless if that worked for me. And I got frustrated of, well, what about what I need when we're in this dynamic? When does my need get to kind of take the precedent or center stage here?
Yeah.
And one of the things that helped at times was there was one particular disconnect, and I honestly kind of went into a panic attack. Like, it was almost embarrassing that I couldn't regulate at this thought of him leaving me.
Yeah.
And something clicked in him that made him realize this is more than just Jory being anxious.
Yeah.
And more than an anxious attachment style.
This was a trauma response.
Uh-huh.
And seeing that it was a differentiating level of activated wound clicked something in him to say, oh shit, I got to step towards her. I got to put my need to self-regulate aside, and I actually need to help her co-regulate right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And now
that was a shift.
I also didn't, quote, take advantage of that and say it's a trauma response. Like, obviously no, like, I'm not going to try to get him just to come step towards me at any cost. That would not be healthy, and that would not be a good pattern.
What was real in the moment.
That was real in that moment.
Snapped him out of his pattern.
And that was enough to show me, okay, my needs matter here too. We don't always have to do that dance.
Sounds like one of those moments of grace where we don't know why or how you snapped out of the moment there, or what made it so traumatic for you, but something in your in the couple.
Yeah.
Realigned or re-regulated,
something calibrated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Beautiful.
And the other dynamic tool that we used that I think was incredibly important, that was really Jory was responsible for, but now I call it something like the upward spiral of revisiting disagreements, where we would have a disagreement, and then 2 or 3 days later we'd be going for a walk, and she'd be like, hey, can I bring up that disagreement we had a few days ago? And I was like, oh man, seriously? Like, the eye roll, do we have to? Like,
oh man,
I was afraid that it was going to trigger people again.
I thought we were over this.
And over time I realized that this is a really good way of dealing with it, because and we could come back to a disagreement 3, 4, 5, 6 times in some cases.
Right. Let's really understand this.
The further away we got from it, the more objective we could be, the more curious, the less judgmental, and the more we could look at, well, when you said this and I got triggered, like, why did that trigger me? Like, what was really going on? Was this really about you and me?
Then.
Was this about like my marriage? Was this about my childhood?
Yes.
And we found some things that really made a lot of sense. That were somewhat surprising. And I can give you an example, which is embarrassing for me, but Jory took her daughter.
Give more of those.
Yeah, I don't like those. They make me look bad. Jory took her daughter to Ecuador for a volunteer trip. So for a week, she was gone in the heart of the rainforest, completely off the grid. In a small village, which really dysregulated me. Like, I didn't like it. I felt I couldn't protect her. I was worried. I was scared. And I got angry when she got back, which doesn't make any rational sense.
I had to convince him to see me when I got home.
And
it doesn't make rational sense, but it makes emotional sense, right? Like, I actually just went away for a week, and my kid is angry with me now, right? So it makes sense from that young part.
It hurts, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and so, we talked about this. We had several conversations about it. And one of the things I realized is, like, when I was really young, my parents used to go away for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time and leave us with a babysitter. Yeah. And, a couple of times when that happened, some weird stuff happened. Mm-hmm. Some not good things happened. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't great. Yeah. And it was a little bit traumatic.
Felt unsafe.
Yeah. And that brings you back.
And so I realized when people that I love go away and I feel a little bit out of control about it, it dysregulates me. And that's not really about the present moment.
No. But
that's
how beautiful that as you debrief or revisit these parts of these disagreements or arguments, that then you get to discover, right? So that shift from an argument of what are you doing that I don't like and blah, 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 to, what can I actually understand about myself? that can heal so that we can have more love together. That's amazing.
And I think, as you know, we still post breakup, it's been 2 years that we've been back together, and we kind of dived head first into healing on a variety of levels of, okay, shit, we don't want to have what just happened ever happen again, which was a breakup and caused a whole bunch of different traumas for us. So we had double level of things to heal from that. Yeah. And we were committed to doing that deep, dark shadow work.
Yes.
And that was really a commitment. And on a tactical level, part of that was really checking in each week. And, you know, for a long time, and I think we still do it, but not with the same regularity.
I was curious how far you're going to go with that.
Well, we could go further. We can see where Shana wants us to keep going with that. But part of it is just this check-in of 2 questions that I just love, which is, how did I make you feel loved this week?
Oh, love that.
And what could I have done to make you feel more loved this week?
Yeah.
And that second one's a tricky one, because if you're unsafe in expressing your needs or unmet needs, it might trigger an argument or a fight, but it's not an opportunity to really dump on each other.
Yeah. But
it's really an opportunity of, let's do a status check. Where are we? And where are you? And what do you need from me? And how can I adjust to meet your needs that I think I'm meeting, but maybe I'm not?
Right. Maybe I don't see the whole picture.
Yeah. I like to think of it as fine tuning.
Yeah.
But the other thing that we did, if you want to get really honest, is we did some psychedelic work to get through some of those shadows.
Those shadows.
Because part of it was some really ingrained belief and thought and behavior patterns that we didn't think we could change.
Yeah.
And John had been doing some work with a client with refractory depression with psilocybin, and doing the research to truly understand what it does to open up the neural network and see things through a new lens. And that was a big component of our healing. And it was amazing to go on that journey together for the intention of deeper insight and rewiring some of those old patterns that, like John said in the beginning, didn't think was possible.
I like the metaphor that the mind is like a snow globe, and we have tracks that we've run through the snow, right? Those are the neural pathways that we burned in over and over, those automatic negative thoughts, all the old shit that we don't want in there. And when you take mushrooms, it's like shaking the snow globe, and you get a fresh layer of snow.
Totally.
That's
right.
laid,
And
so
for
you can
some
lay
people,
new pathways.
and I'm a fan of psilocybin psychedelics, and for some people it's going to be meditation or tantra or, you know, breath work or any of those things. It can be any of those, but to realize that actually we can change those grooves. They are not permanent. And I have a part in my book where I wrote about, I think the chapter, the section is called "You're Not Who You Think You Are, and Neither Is Your Partner," right? Because we create these stories. Well, you're this way and I'm this way and this is who I am. And I just don't believe that, right? I mean, again, we practice our whole lives. And so it's not like we can just let go of, well, I think sometimes we can just let go of, but right. I don't have to hold on to a story about you that limits who you are or puts you in a negative light, or myself.
Well, and I think that's a real relationship killer, that belief of love me as I am, and I'm not changing.
Right. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
that was a big wound for me in my divorce and going through couples therapy, of my ex just being like, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
And I am a big fan of being open-minded towards growth and change. And John would say, you know, he was open-minded towards growth and change as well, until he realized there were certain areas he didn't think he could grow in.
Well, and so it's that whole growth versus fixed. It's growth versus fixed mindset, right? But I realized that growth mindset, maybe I had it 97% of the areas, but there was these little pockets where I was like, oh, shit, I don't think I can change that. And then I was like, oh my God, that's a fixed mindset. Like, I got to go after that first.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to acknowledge the vulnerability of that too, because when you find one of those and you're like, wow, shit, what if that just is me? What if I can't change that? And you're a great example of, okay, you hit that wall and then you actually got curious and you actually went looking for the growth instead of just accepting, I guess this is who I am.
Right. And I think it's really important to note, even though we've done all this work and all this healing, yes, we're still human, and yes, we still get stuck. And what I'm really proud of in that is that when we do get stuck, it lasts a lot shorter. The wounds don't seem to go as deep.
Yep.
We repair much quicker.
Well, it happens less frequently.
It happens less frequently.
It's pretty infrequent.
I think we really try to hear each other in a different way.
Yep.
And so, again, we're going to get, and I don't care if we get stuck. We're going to. I just want to learn from it. I want to grow from it. And I want to see, okay, great. What happened? So next time a similar dynamic, which it will come up, what can I do differently? Let me understand. I just want to understand. And I always say with my clients and even with us, like, I don't really care about the details as much as the patterns.
Yes. Right.
And couples get too focused. Couples get too focused on the details, right? They get too focused on you said, she said, and this is what happened. Okay, fine. That happened. Okay. Let's go deeper. Let's go deeper.
Well, and I'm right. Like, just therapist, tell me I'm right, so we can leave here.
Right.
Would you just tell her I'm wrong?
Right.
Tell her she's wrong.
And that's what they want.
So entrenched. Right. And then if I have compassion for that, it's like, oh, because if you tell me I'm right, then I'm good enough. Then I'm worthy. Then I'm lovable.
Right.
All of those things under the surface that are so vulnerable that we sort of hide behind without even realizing it.
Well, and John said something briefly, but I want to come back to it because it was something that we got really skilled at asking when we did get sensitive or our feelings hurt, was to be curious and say, is this about your past? Is this, is this about your childhood? Is this about your past, or is this about us?
Yeah.
And we had
past
relationship, right. But marriage for each of us. Right. And the greater awareness we had of what the root was, because very rarely was it actually about the other person. We just have to take accountability for that. But the wound that was being activated proceeded.
And I think one of the things I've learned in this relationship is how much of what we get triggered by in the present moment is really an activation of an old wound that preceded the relationship.
So much.
And I think those conversations that Jory kept bringing up that were annoying as hell, that that allowed us to recognize what those things were.
Right. And it's not that we wouldn't be irritated or frustrated or even hurt or disappointed or any of that, but the extent of the reaction or the lack of having the capacity to actually consciously talk about it, like, hey, that hurt my feelings, or I'm kind of struggling with this, versus some kind of all out reaction or withdraw, right?
And here's
part of the past.
Here's one more layer of something that happened with us recently is sometimes when the hurt feeling or the reaction feels disproportionate, we have to get curious, what else is going on with you that might have led to less resiliency or a quicker, reactivity that, what other stressors or sleepiness or not feeling well might contribute to the inability to access some of the deeper tools, right? Because if you're really stressed and overwhelmed, it's going to be harder to access.
Totally.
So we try to do a good job of letting each other know when we're feeling low on resources. So that way to not personalize it.
Yeah. One of the things I love that we do is we'll try and let each other know if we're in a lousy mood, depressed mood, tired, grouchy. And like, I can wake up sometimes on the wrong side of the bed and just be like, hey, honey, I'm in kind of a grouchy mood today. And it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
To me, that's a huge gift.
Huge gift.
Because you're letting them know where you are, but you're also letting them know it's not about you. So your partner is then free to either try and support you or just, give you space.
Well, in absence of information, we're going to fill in the details. So the story I'm telling myself, if he's not available, is it is about me.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So we need
we over-personalize context. That's really helpful.
That was a huge game changer. And, I think the other thing, just coming back to the blended families, now that our kids have flown the nest and we're able to be number one for each other, we also have shown the kids why that's really important, because our kids don't really remember growing up in a married household.
Right.
And interestingly enough, we were just recently over winter break. My oldest daughter, who's 21, was home, and this was her first time being at home since John moved in.
Wow.
And she was aware of the shift, and it wasn't negative. It was just different. And my availability for her was less. And she's never been used to my availability at home being less for her.
Right.
And I was really proud to role model to her the importance of why it's less for her and equal as much as I can for him, because she's never seen that dynamic.
Yeah.
I mean, she was 11 when I got divorced, but she doesn't remember being in a 2-parent household.
An amazing.
So now we really want
to way.
And, we were just taking his daughter was home for the weekend, and we had dinner with her, and she was commenting on how much she loves watching us engage and what she values in seeing in our relationship. Because again, she was 3 when he got divorced.
She said, you guys are like the old couple in Up. And I was like, hey, we are not old.
But she was
highlighting
the depth and the value of our connection. And so that's really important to know, like, when is this magic time to shift the energy from the kids being number one, now that they're old enough to really, hey, look, this is my priority now. And I'm always there for you, and I love you, and I support you. And this is also what a healthy relationship looks like. You give it time, energy, and attention.
Yeah. My daughter once told us, you made me believe in love again.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Like,
and
wow.
how incredible
that all your
you
listeners
actually had this, you both had the value of, we are going to put the kids first. And when it's our time, now we're actually choosing each other, and now we're helping them see how to make this transition and how to do it in a healthy, loving way that is an amazing example for them.
Well, with 3 daughters, with 3 daughters, we want them to have the opportunity for the healthiest relationship possible and not deem themselves the children of divorce,
right? Which
both can be true.
Yeah. Amazing. This is amazing. This is chock full of very, powerful examples that I think so many couples can relate to, or people who are dating and, had been in a relationship where these things happen. So again, thank you so much for being vulnerable and being honest and not needing to hold up the sign of, I'm a therapist or I'm a psychologist, and so this is easy, right? I don't think it's easy for any of us. So much appreciation there. Is there any
can I end with, I was going to say, can I end with a really fun, kind of silly story to kind of bring this all together?
Yeah.
Over the summer, we decided very, very last minute to go to Vegas to see a show that was ending. And we wanted to take our kid.
Eye roll that happened over there.
Well, it's a long story, but I'm trying to condense it as much as possible. Okay. And the show was the Beatles Cirque du Soleil show, Love.
Oh, nice.
And when I made this idea, we were in Vegas 3 days later. And my daughter had to come from Wisconsin. His daughter was still in Europe. And we made, it was not easy to get to. Mm-hmm. The point of it, we kept saying, it's all for love. Well, long story short, they were trying to convince us to get married in Vegas.
Your kids were?
Uh-huh. And we decided, well, we're not getting married in Vegas, but let's kind of screw with them because that's just fun. So we actually planned a fake Vegas wedding with Elvis.
With Elvis? Good. Yeah.
And we pulled up to the little Vegas wedding chapel, and they're in disbelief, like, you're not actually getting married. But what we did do was we had a non-legally binding family commitment ceremony. And when it came time for the vows, all 5 of us gave a vow to each other.
Oh, I love this.
And that's why we say we're kind of married, because, well, Elvis did kind of marry us.
Married you.
But it was a culmination in the healing of not just John and I post breakup, but the kids, right? And part of when my daughter was trying to convince us to get married, she's like, it's the least you could do for us after all you've put us through. And it was
no guilt.
It was important for them to feel this great connection. And I think it's important to that because relationships don't just happen between the couple.
No, they happen, right?
And they wanted to feel safe and secure. And through this hilarious and fun and silly and meaningful and joyful Elvis ceremony, we as a family committed to our core values.
It was an incredible 2 days.
Aww,
in Vegas, of all places.
In Vegas, of all places, right? Yes.
Meaning in Vegas, who knew?
Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to add, John, as we are wrapping up?
Not much.
You want to share about our masterclass?
Yeah, we are doing a masterclass that starts tonight, actually. And so it's a monthly, year-long masterclass on relationships.
Awesome.
And you can find out more at loveisn'tenough.net. You can also check out or find out more about the podcast for couples that we just started called Love Isn't Enough.
And we're also doing couples coaching in a really unique model in which John works with the man individually, I work with the woman individually, and then we all 4 come together in the couples work so we can do that simultaneous individual and relational work.
So powerful. Yeah. Incredible. Well, you two are amazing guides and mentors, and it's really powerful to hear how, as you're more vulnerable, I trust you more. Right. I think that I got divorced as a relationship coach 12 years ago. And I also had that similar embarrassment of like, oh God, what's going to happen now? And then realizing, wow, it just expanded what I could see and what I was aware of and how I could really, support other people to grow. So
yeah,
we're part of the same club.
Well, and thank you. We value the friendship.
Yeah. And thank you for giving us more space to share our story, because I do think it can help others in feeling not so alone and just how hard being in relationship is.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for being here, and definitely check out Jory and John's offerings, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. I'm so glad you joined us for today's episode of Practicing Love. I hope you enjoyed our conversation and gained insight into yourself and your current and past relationships and inspiration for what's possible. If you like what you heard, I'd be so grateful for you to subscribe and write a quick review to help people find us. If you'd like more support in your love life, be sure to get your free copy of my best-selling book, Honest Sex, at shanajamescoaching.com/free. That's shanajamescoaching.com/free. And we'll see you next time.